Hi, my name's Beverly. I'm here today to tell you about what it's been like to be a drug addict's mom. My son's currently a resident at the Dream Center, and if you'll bear with me, I want to read it to you because I'm afraid I'll leave something out or just not hit the highlights that I want to share with you. So if you'll just listen, and thank you. I lost my son 13 years ago, not to death but to addiction. Because of God's love and grace, he's alive today. He found God's love and grace through the Dream Center. We watched our son totally destroy himself and everything he had in life except the clothes on his back at the end of his drug addiction journey. We started to recognize there was a problem right out of college. He'd come up short on money, couldn't pay his rent, couldn't make a car payment. It almost destroyed us mentally and financially. He couldn't hold a job. He got in trouble with the law. We tried everything we could do to help him. We'd move him back home based on his promises that he would do better and he would stop the using and things would be better. We'd no more be home a week or two and we were having problems again. You say, you were the enabler. You're right, I was the enabler. But you don't understand how much I love my children and I wouldn't have done anything to help him. His addictions continued to get worse and rehab after rehab didn't work. We experienced things that still make my heart race. It was so bad I kept a spreadsheet because each time I wanted to bring him home, make his world right, I would get out the spreadsheet and look at all the things he did to himself and to us. I would spend so many nights praying to God that he would take him and put him in jail. At least then I knew he was safe, he was still alive. Some of the things we experienced no one should have to go through. Our nightmare just continued. The heartache was so great at times that I don't know how I'm here today. The last year before he found the Dream Center was a living hell for him and us. After 13 years of trying to help him, we finally realized we couldn't. We weren't in control, only God was in control. While we continued to pray and pray, we left him on the street. One of the last times he was arrested was right before ice storm was expected to hit. He was released, and all I knew to do was take him a coat. The only thing he had in life was the clothes on his back. We got a coat, we drove to the jail, we rolled down the window, and we called his name, threw the coat on the ground, and drove off. He was living on the streets with nothing left except the clothes on his back. He didn't even have a spare pair of underwear. He called a friend, two friends, to try to help him, and they reached out and tried to help him. They had taken him to a temporary rehab in downtown Dallas and were trying to find somewhere to get him permanently. While there, he got very sick. The doctors didn't believe him. They said that it was just withdrawals. A nurse on duty said, no, this isn't withdrawals. Called an ambulance and sent him to the hospital. We didn't go at first because we thought he was just bluffing. And after all these years, we knew we couldn't step back in. God was finally in control. That afternoon, I remember if it were yesterday at 4:30, the phone rang. And it was an ICU nurse and said that he'd been moved to ICU and they didn't know what the outcome was going to be. They were waiting on doctors to get to the hospital immediately. We went, and I walked in, and all I knew to do was read him his last rites because I didn't know he was going to get through it. He got through it. I stayed at the hospital with him for 3 days. The doctors came in to release him. They knew the whole story. And the doctor pulled me aside and said, he's not going to make it if you put him on the street. All we could do was take him home. We broke the no trespassing we'd issued. We had a legal eviction, we broke that, but we let him back in. Again, it didn't work. After another incident, he was back on the street. His friends that had got the temporary rehab had an employee who was a recovered meth addict. In talking with her, she said the only thing that saved her was an aunt had taken her in, loved her, and showed her God's words. That's what saved her. Her aunt, not knowing my son, not knowing me, found the Lufkin Dream Center. About a week later, his friend put him on a bus, and Jeremiah picked him up at the bus station. From there, he's been here because of God. He's found God. The Lufkin Dream Center has provided a place for him to heal, and he will graduate in about 2 weeks now. I've never been prouder of him. I love him so much, and I just know that God's got a plan for him, and it's all going to work out. A story I didn't share with you was when he left home, I saved one pair of slacks and one shirt to bury him in. I brought those clothes to him. Jeremiah asked him to give a testimony several months ago, and I brought him those clothes. And I told him those were the clothes to bury you in. I no longer need them. So if you're a parent out there, don't give up. There are people that will help. And I ask if there's any way you can help the Dream Center, please do. They saved my son. Thank you.